Hello, it's December 1st, 2013, and I decided to try a little experiment. This is a little segment, a little video that I'm hoping to add to my channel called Games You Should Have Played. And this is where I spotlight a game that I just think that people should have played. I mean, there should have been more people playing this game. The name of this game is Baten Kaitos, Wings of the Eternal Ocean. Now, this game is an awesome RPG. It was one of the few truly great RPGs on the GameCube, and it's damn good. It's got an awesome story. People who've played this game, some people will complain about severe lack, the severe lack of quality voice acting. But RPGs aren't about voice acting. If you're bitching about voice acting in an RPG, heads up, you might not be an RPG fan, because voice acting, that is very far down the list of important things about an RPG. Storyline, character development, um, you know, how the characters evolve over the course of the game is what is important about an RPG. Graphics and voice acting is not. It's not. But aside from what some people may consider bland voice acting, not terrible, but some people may say it's bland. I personally, it didn't bother me. I still like Baten Kaitos. It's one of my favorite games. I go back and play that game once every year. I'm thinking of doing it this year before Christmas. But anyway, Baten Kaitos has everything you want from a good RPG. It has an epic storyline, plot twists, zigging and zagging back and forth. Very interesting storyline. Great music. But the real highlight of the Baten Kaitos game is the battle system. It's different from every other RPG you've ever played. Most RPGs are ripoffs of the Final Fantasy ATB system, active time battle system. You take a turn, they take a turn. You take a turn, they take a turn. The faster your character are, the faster your turn comes up, the more times you can attack before your enemy takes a turn. So a character like a thief or a ninja, or a character who's had haste cast on them, gets 5 turns for every enemy's 1. Or, just a simple turn-based battle system where it's like you attack, they attack, you attack, they attack. This game spun that on its head. It didn't have magic or health or mana potions. Instead, the entire battle system was built up around cards. Each character had a deck with certain cards only that character could use. So your main character is a dude named Kaitos, who basically, well, actually I take that back. Kaitos is not your main character. Your main character is a spiritual being who follows Kaitos around, giving him advice and helping him out by occasionally giving him, uber powerful super mega cards that normally can't be gotten through any other way through the game. But Kaitos is one of the main player characters in the game, and basically, his card deck might be, well, he can use swords and bucklers and armor and stuff, and you use defensive cards during your defensive turn in order to completely negate damage from an enemy. And if you use your defensive cards right, you can do things like counterattack, negate enemies' damage entirely, heal yourself. I mean, all types of really nice stuff. Offensively, you can also create combinations with the cards. Two-way combinations, actually. You can create combinations via the more conventional, like normal cards, like a straight flush, a royal, well, there's no royal flush, but a straight, a pair, two of a kind, triples, everything like that. Um, which is kind of cool. I mean, it was a very different battle system. Once you really got into the nitty gritty of the battle system of Baten Kaitos and you really started to understand how things came about, how things were made, the game started to get really good. I mean, really, really good. What also made Baten Kaitos cool, and I said combinations earlier, two ways, was the second way combinations were important. You see, you had cards in the game that you'd get that seemed pretty damn useless. I mean, you'd be like, what in the world am I going to do with a power helmet that has very little defense, a kindling, and rice? You give that to a magic based character, you have them use a fire and water card in between those other three cards, and they would create something like steamed rice, or charcoal, or whittle a statue or something. And some of these could be used to devastating effect. For example, if you were to combine a holy chalice in the game with any of the various rice wines, sake, rums, vinegar, not vinegar, grape wine, anything like that, cider, you could create some pretty nice cards later on in the game, like a holy elixir that would heal by like huge amounts of health. I mean, it was amazing the depths of this game. Now, playing this game was made by Namco Bandai, or I should say it was published by Namco Bandai. It was made by Monolith Soft and Crescendo. So basically, I mean, you're talking about a really good RPG developer made this game, and they didn't skimp. They made a damn good game. I mean, damn good. I mean, the characters were awesome. The storyline was great. The villains were the motivations of various villains in the game were deeper than you could possibly imagine. Like you'd go into this. I mean, this game was what every RPG should be. It was deeper than you initially thought. Okay, the game was deeper than you initially thought. The villains weren't who you thought they were. The heroes weren't who you thought they were. There were twists. I mean, this game was, in my opinion, Baten Kaitos in the PS2, GameCube, Xbox generation, Baten Kaitos shit on anything the PS2 had, any RPG, almost any Square Enix RPG that came out on the PS2. Except maybe Dragon Quest VIII. But Dragon Quest VIII, I'm a Dragon Quest fan, and Dragon Quest is what it always has been. It's a solid RPG. But this game was different, and I gotta give points to it being different. But this game was really good. It was really, really good. I would have to put this game and Skies of Arcadia Legends as being two of my favorite GameCube RPGs. The difference is that Skies of Arcadia Legends, this game was a single disc game. This game is a 2-disc game, but they pack a shitload of content in those 2 discs. Insane amounts of content. Now, there was a sequel made to this game that, in my opinion, isn't as good as the original. It is what it is. The sequel was called Baten Kaitos Origins, and it's a prequel, really. It tells the tale of how the Baten Kaitos world came to this point. The rise of some of the characters from the original game, the ultimate villains, the source of all of these things. It tells the origin story of how Callus came to be, but in a very roundabout way. It's not. The game is not as good as the original. They made 2 mistakes with the sequel to Baten Kaitos Origins. First of all, they dumbed it down to widen the audience. Now, there are some games where you can dumb them down to widen the audience, and it helps, like shooters or some types of fighters. But RPGs are so niche that dumbing them down to widen the audience that you gain um, never really is as big as what you lose and turn off to the hardcore fan base who liked it before. In Baten Kaitos Origins case, they changed the battle system. Well, not dramatically. You still used cards, but they dramatically changed the battle system. Instead of each character having their own deck, it was like 2 or 3 characters, and that was it. Every character shared the same deck, but you could create different decks, like, for them to share. They lowered the amount of characters, which was just a travesty. You went from having, in the original Baten Kaitos, you had Kaitos, Shella, Gabari, Savina, Mizuti, and some guy with a gun. That's 6 characters. I forgot the guy with the gun's name. I might put it in annotations when I edit this. But basically, you had 6 characters, each one with their own backstory, their own motivations, their own, tribulations, their own, what's going on in their head. And then, in Origins, you go down to 3 characters. I mean, it wasn't very good. It was not very good. I did not like it. It was not a good game. Now, was it I didn't like it. It wasn't a bad game, but I didn't like it. I didn't like how they made the game more casual. Because, I don't think RPG should be casual. I don't think RPG should be open, acceptable to everyone, because not everyone's going to like RPGs. Not everyone is going to like D&D or D&D or Shadow Killer or Shadowrun. Those are very niche titles, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are gaming companies that have survived being completely niche. Atlas made, the company that owned them went bankrupt, but Atlas did pretty well being niche. There's nothing wrong with being niche. There's nothing wrong with basically having an audience that you cater to. That's all you cater to. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that sometimes a lot of companies tend to want to go casual and help everybody, and what they wind up doing is creating something that no one likes. Case in point, Mass Effect 3. But that's another point. But basically, Baten Kaitos, the original, is a very good game. It's 2 discs. The sequel was 2 discs too, but you don't need to play the sequel. The first one was the best. Its graphics were pretty good. They haven't aged greatly, but they're still pretty good. If Nintendo were smart, I would tell them to go to Namco Bandai and have them port that game over to the Virtual Console. I would get it. Instead of having to do 2 discs, just have it be all just in one. I would get that game just to play that game. I would download that game just to have it again, because it's that good. Just a very good game. Now, places where you can get this game. I've bought Baten Kaitos multiple times from GameStop, Amazon, Amazon merchants, whatever. That's your best bet to get that game. It's a good game. Solid. It's a GameCube game, but if you have a Wii, you have a GameCube too, because the Wii is backwards compatible with GameCube games. So basically, what I'm saying is that these are some awesome games, and this is an awesome game, a game that you should have played. And that's it. Have a good day.